Andrea Tessmann.
Yes, Kirk Buchner.
Have you ever done the jitterbug?
Can't say I have.
I'm not even sure what a jitterbug is, but it opens like this. Jitterbug, snap, snap, snap. I can't snap my fingers, so.
Oh.
Thank you.
There we go.
Thank you. Wham! November 17th, 1984. Oh, wow. Now, for anyone who's sort of tuning in thinking that, okay, Kirk's just going to go rip right into this. I am, but I don't hate Wham. I don't hate them at all. I actually like Wham. Didn't when I was 12. But I came to come with an appreciation of this. Although this song is not one of my likes at all.
So I kind of enjoy this song, but I mean, I was 3 when it came out, so it's not like I was inundated with it at the time.
Mm-hmm.
So it is everything silly and over the top about the 80s. Or the early 80s, at least.
It really is. In some ways, it's almost perfect, and not in a good way. But I think we'll get there.
No, it's not. But it's not a bad song. And despite wanting to hate it, I don't hate it.
I hate it. I absolutely loathe this song. I despise things that are just so over the top cheering. But it does it so well, so I respect it. This is like my then version of Taylor Swift. I hate Taylor Swift the person. I respect the fact that she is pretty much self-made, writes, produces, does everything on her own. I think she's an awful piece of shit as a person. I really do. But I respect her.
Yeah, fair. I can appreciate that association.
Yeah, so Wham! They had one of the good things about my ex-wife, there's not a lot of good things I can say about my ex-wife, but she sort of introduced me to a lot more of 80s stuff that I sort of left behind and I ignored. Wham was one of them. So I learned a lot from her. And if you're listening, I still hate you. But anyway, about their early stuff. This was Wham's first big hit in the US, but it was not their first big hit. Wham were big already in the UK, but these two guys, and I told you last week that I was going to explain why Andrew Ridgeley is my hero.
Andrew Ridgeley is pretty great, but please explain why he's your hero.
Okay, I think you probably already know since you know me pretty well.
Mm-hmm.
All right, so.
Okay, you want me to guess?
Go ahead.
I'm going to say Andrew Ridgeley is your hero because he partnered up with the right guy at the right time.
Mm-hmm.
Rode his coattails for about 5 years,
mm-hmm.
and then lived off of the royalties.
Yes, but it gets even better than that.
And he was a nice guy the entire time.
Right. So, I mean, Andrew Ridgeley, essentially through luck, the way I read this, George, I can't even pronounce his real last name. I'm not even going to try.
Something very Greek.
Something very Greek. So George has to sit next to Andrew in class as he's the new kid in class. This was when they were 12. Now, from that becomes a great friendship. So Andrew was the outgoing guy. Andrew was the person who wanted to sort of like be famous, and so did George. But George was shy. Andrew was the person that brought George out of his shell. So without Andrew Ridgeley, George Michael, or at least the version that we know or knew, since he's since left us, wouldn't exist. But here's a guy who latched on to somebody like Andrew Ridgeley's not a bad looking guy.
No, but he's not as pretty as George Michael.
Who is?
No one. Like, he's too pretty. He's like intimidatingly pretty.
Yeah, I was rewatching Thelma and Louise, and Brad Pitt's in that, and god damn.
George Michael's still prettier than Brad Pitt. But that might be
yeah, but Brad Pitt was more, well, okay, you know what, I want to again state I'm heterosexual here. I know it's not sounding like that, but either way, he linked up with a guy who was way better looking than him. And I don't know how it is where there's any place where, oh, it's bad ethnically to be Greek. Like he talks about, oh, that was sort of an issue, and I'm sure that it was. I mean, I think you and I can't really understand that.
I don't think that's an issue in Canada, but
Mhm.
I think that in some places it's still an ethnic thing, that he probably wanted to move away from the very ethnic sounding name.
Mhm.
I don't know if he faced any oppression, or if I can't speak to any of that because I don't know. But it would be no different than someone in Canada changing their name from something that we found very difficult to pronounce to something simple.
And
I
more
mean,
often than not, it does work. It does sort of help your career. Things
and it was
sort of like
really
roll off the
common in
tongue.
the 80s and 90s.
Well, I mean, even still now, I mean, like how many rappers, even though they have basic names, they just come up with something that's catchy. And then for their third album, they use their real name all the time, like clockwork.
So anyway, so
Yeah,
he
so
changed his name
change his name,
from Georgios, something very Greek sounding, to
George
George
Michael. Yeah. And Andrew Ridgeley, again, why is he my hero? Because he partnered up with this guy, knowing that, okay, here, all the women would want to be with him. George doesn't like girls.
Now, yes, but also apparently George slept with a lot of women during the Wham days.
Yeah,
He very much thought he was bisexual for a lot of years.
yeah, but how many did he turn away? George knew.
Oh, hey, it doesn't honestly matter how many he slept with or didn't. There would have been many, many women circulating around.
Sure, but how many of the top ones and the residue just sort of like fell into Andrew's lap?
Exactly.
And he didn't have to do anything other than just be a good friend, which he was. I mean, you can't say that he used him. I mean, he did to a point, but I mean, like,
I don't think he used him. I think he took full advantage of the situation in a totally respectful partnership sort of way. He never tried to use that friendship and connection after Wham broke up for any sort of personal gain. He stayed friends with him for the rest of George Michael's life and never tried to capitalize on that in any real way. So he's made millions off of royalties.
and he married a Bananarama, who I believe he's still married to. And my favorite of the three, well, my second favorite of the Bananaramas. I have a tier. The wacky one who was always on the left, the one who Andrew married who was on the right, and I didn't really care for the tall one in the middle. That's
All right then.
yeah, I thought so. Yeah, that's why Andrew Ridgeley is my hero. 1982, they're pushing it. Before that, they were actually in a ska band. I learned, which was
I can't imagine George Michael being in a ska band or being a DJ.
well, after hearing some of his later work, I could picture the DJ stuff.
Yeah, I suppose.
But the ska thing just probably didn't work. But that might have been a good question for Kelly Ripa, for those who listened to our last week's episode. Please do. It's where Kelly Ripa asks Rick Astley, so are you a teddy boy or a skinhead? That she really did ask that.
With very big hair.
With ginormous hair. It sort of like takes me back, when you're trying to like put your hand. Anyway, let's move on. Let's move on. So in Britain, they actually did exceptionally well with 4 hits. I sent you one that you probably had never seen before, the Wham rap.
You did tell me at the end of our chat last week that I needed to listen to the Wham rap, which I did immediately.
Yep.
And then I also have listened to it probably twice more this week. And
catchy in a way, right? I mean, basically, it's a song about celebrating being unemployed.
Yeah. If you don't like what you do, then stop doing it, basically.
Which kind of, I mean, they're one of the few people where that worked out. it worked out great for those two.
I don't think they ever actually worked. They started like a 9 to 5 job. Obviously, they would have had to do some real work for their careers, but
Absolutely, yeah, absolutely.
they were They right out of high school,
Yeah.
were working in the music industry. But yeah, oh, it's so bad.
It's basically
Look at
Fruity
me,
Pebble.
I
Man.
got
Yeah.
street credibility.
Hey, everybody, look at me. I got street credibility, which he didn't. He had none, zero. And that video actually encapsulates Wham perfectly, that whole relationship. It's George Michael doing everything. Is coming to his buddy's house saying, okay, get away from your parents right now. And just walks in and goes, ah! And then if we didn't really like, and then even later in that video, he's put on the leather outfit, the leather bike outfit, which should have been a dead giveaway. It is with 2020 eyes, 2021 eyes.
Oh, so much of that is a dead giveaway with 2021 eyes.
Right. But back then, and I said this to you before offline last week, I remember when a lot of people didn't know the Village People were gay. Not all of them are, but it was pretty damn obvious. But, Liberace, well, he just hasn't found the right woman yet. It's, you believe what you want to believe. And so they had 4 hits in Britain from their first album that did very well there. And they were all sort of what I like to call Fruity Pebble music. It's not particularly great. It's there. There's no meat to it.
It's bubblegum.
Yeah. And that's what it was. They had issues with the record label, signed with Epic. And I mean, it's one thing, I think, when you're big in England, but I think I know that's how it was then. It's probably that way now. You're not big unless you make it in the United States.
Well, and all of George Michael's heroes and people he looked up to were American musicians. So for him, he wasn't satisfied with that the American success.
And this is where we get with Make It Big, the album that this is George Michael completely, beginning to end. He produced it. He wrote virtually everything. There was some co-writing credits to Andrew and a couple. I'm not sure if this is one of them. I know in Careless Whisper it was, which we'll talk about later. That song I love.
It's a good song.
It's a great song. And so let's just get into this. The cheeriest song, which I'm trying to think, why did this work? And I was thinking about it a little bit more. Right now, a super happy, cheery song isn't going to work. But in 1984, in the United States, this was the height of the Reagan era. This was where we're proud to be an American. Okay, Vietnam, forget that. What's that? I don't know. Let's make some money. Let's just go out and have fun. And this is what this song was. We're going to go out dancing. I'm more interested in dancing than the actual girl I'm with. But you don't really pick up on that, maybe.
Well, even when in the bridge, when he's saying, let's cuddle, he's still saying, we'll go dancing tomorrow night.
Yeah.
Like, honey.
And it starts off with that whole, that's where, like, again, when I was 12, I can't separate the 12-year-old Kirk from this. I'm trying to, but I can't. Because that's when, you're starting to know, you're trying to flirt with the girls a little bit for the first time. And all the girls were sort of interested in this stuff. And you're looking at like, why? This, and I'm going to say something that's going to sound offensive, but that's, please, everyone, yeah, okay, thank you. Please, everyone, put this in context, in historical context. This is when a lot of the 12-year-olds were like, this guy's gay. And it turned out we were right. But this is the days before the iPod. And what I mean by that, if you listen to a style of music, that was the style of music you listened to. You go to school and you already know exactly by looking at someone what music they listen to. I don't know that that's the case anymore for the youngins. No
I don't
clue.
think it is. I think it was solidly with us through the 90s.
Mhm.
And then I think you're absolutely right. The age of digital music expanded people's horizons pretty broadly
It's so
because
easy.
suddenly you have access to individual songs, not
Yeah.
having to buy full albums.
Right.
Because yeah, 80, well, the um singles were still a thing in the 80s. They weren't in the 90s.
Yeah,
Come the
but
age of
you're still
CDs,
buying it.
you're still buying it.
Yeah.
And then yeah, and you might buy a single, but you're likely to buy the album as well.
Mhm.
And then when CDs came out, that was it for singles. Singles were what was released on the radio,
Right.
but they weren't released individually. Like you might get a short play demo CD that had like 4 songs on it,
Mhm.
but that was not very common.
Yeah. So and yeah, so like with this song, it's just so hyper and chipper, and and again, the 12-year-old in me. It's like I don't want to hear this. Like when you're trying to find that, but a 12-year-old girl did,
He was
and
very pretty.
yeah, I get it. I totally get it. So we can go right to the video where they're all in these Choose Life t-shirts. I said to Andrea when we were off air last week, I actually bought like a retro t-shirt that said Frankie says relax. Unfortunately, my waistline is expanded and I didn't bring that with me when I moved. It's shrunk now that it would probably fit again, but maybe I'll buy another one. I don't know. Or Frankie says don't relax. It was years later before I knew what Frankie meant. I didn't know that.
These t-shirts were a political statement, though.
Well,
I don't really know what the political statement was, but the woman that designed these t-shirts was known.
Design.
I know, right? Let's put some words on a white t-shirt. But
Yeah.
there was a lot of controversy around these, maybe not at that point, but the phrase was basically co-opted by the anti-abortion movement
Yeah.
and the pro-lifers.
Sure.
That's not what these shirts were about.
Mm-hmm. Well,
So
can look at that today and just say, well, wow, George Michael's all this right-wing guy.
Right? Yeah, the guy that's like campaigning and out at like left-wing socialist type rallies is
it doesn't fit. None of this fits. But that's what it was then. I mean, obviously we didn't think of that then. Some of the people there would have just go. From what I was reading, he thought it was cute because Andrew, who was still living at home, had left a message saying, "Wake me." Was it wake me?
Wake me up before you go. He put a second up in accidentally.
Yeah. And like that was the funniest thing ever. I guess you had to be there. George ran with it.
So I honestly thought that the go-go was like a reference to going out dancing, like go-go dancing.
Oh, okay.
The song is kind of a throwback to the 50s, 60s, trying for that like kind of happy, upbeat Motown feel.
That's what I kept reading. I
don't get Motown from it, but I do get kind of a 50s
structure.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I can see that. And as I said, I just always thought it was like just a reference to like, like going out dancing, like you're go-go dancing. I don't know. And it just was like a way to fill in an extra syllable in the phrase.
And it was massive. It worked. The video worked for its time. I mean, it seems pedestrian now, but for 1984, that was pretty good.
So low budget, even for 1984.
I don't know.
They didn't put any. They just filmed Wham and the backup band.
Sometimes that's all you need. I mean, what
in a concert hall.
Sure, but
and then put some blacklight paint on them.
Okay, but we covered a song in the same year, "Jump," which was basically just them, and it was great. It was a great video. It was them, Van Halen being Van Halen. What more, like that was amazing. In some ways, better than some of their earlier videos where they were going a little over the top.
Well, and honestly, I really do think this video is pretty great for its time because it is just, well, it's basically George Michael in a flurry of hair and cheekbones and calf muscles.
Mm.
and and then Andrew Ridgeley just mugging for the camera in the back. Happy doing his background thing again.
Why not? Why not? George. I think I can, if I grow out the hair, I think I can still do that. I can match the hair. Calf muscles.
I bet you could.
I think I could. I think I could. I've even got some of the blonde in there. If you can look.
Yeah, you're looking pretty blonde. That tropical sun's bleaching you out a little.
Oh yeah.
You could really get that 80s look if you put like some lemon juice in it.
I could.
Maybe some sun in.
Yeah, why not? And I'll just walk around and see if I can pick up chicks by going jitterbug. I don't think it's gonna work down here, especially with the wedding ring.
Yeah, and you can't snap, so.
I can't snap, no.
Game off.
Whamp, whamp.
Too bad.
Off to. So from there, what did Wham do? A lot. We mentioned Careless Whisper, which, again, going back to the 12-year-old me, I remember when this came out, this song's not that bad. Which, because this was a great ballad. It was soulful. It was unique. One thing I didn't know until doing the research on this was it was marketed in some countries as Wham featuring George Michael.
Mm-hmm.
It basically meant this was the beginning of the end.
Yeah.
But Andrew wasn't necessarily going to be good enough to continue as they progressed. There really was only one more album from Wham. Concert tour in China. Some of the Wham songs after this were really good.
Yeah, there were some
Heaven,
great songs. And I mean, that concert tour in China was groundbreaking.
It was.
Because they were like the first Western act to tour in China.
I think so.
And had to really fight to get there, from what I understand. So, again, falling into that kind of political left-wing, unite the world thing. Mm-hmm. They also were part of Live Aid.
Well, he was part of Live Aid doing a duet with Elton John.
Yes, you're right.
And Andrew was just like in the background.
He was just there. One of those guys in the background, just.
And you got to give it to him. It's like, it's okay. You know what? I'm writing this. It's about to end. I'm just going to take this in because, like, I'm here at Wembley. And this is still awesome. I'm shagging a Bananarama. Which I don't know if he was at that point or not. I just like that sentence. I'm shagging a Bananarama.
So yeah, they ended it on good terms, remained friends for life. And yeah, I mean, Andrew Ridgeley was a party boy. He was famously kicked out of many places for being drunk and disorderly. But I think he just knew what he had. He had a good thing going. He just kept it up as long as he could. And he realized that, all good things must come to an end. Bow out gracefully.
He tried to race, didn't go well, but he was able to do it. I think it was Formula
3? I don't even know.
Yeah, I read that. Yeah, I didn't know what that was. So I guess it's 3 times as good.
Or third tier?
Yeah. Almost made you do a spit take there, huh?
Almost, yeah.
Yeah, the dad jokes still work, huh?
So, and then he put out a solo album that failed miserably.
Which, did you ever see the movie Music and Lyrics?
Yes.
Which they basically say the Hugh Grant character is more or less Andrew Ridgeley.
Oh, I never made that association, but yep. I get it.
Yeah, and then had the one album that just didn't go anywhere. The only difference is like Andrew Ridgeley just didn't pursue any music career. Just like, you know what? I was lucky enough to get songwriting credits on 3 songs, one of them being Careless Whisper. Thank God for him. and
Yeah,
just
he made
live off of that.
like 10 million pounds or more off of Careless Whisper.
I mean, like, what did he
Oh,
really?
I think he made over 10 million pounds in the first like couple of years off of Careless Whisper, and he still makes thousands of dollars a month off of it.
Like, what are probably a lot too from Last Christmas. I wonder if he gets royalties off that.
I don't know, but that
still
one,
must get performing royalties. Just maybe not.
I'm
Because
sure
that's the
they
other
get
thing.
performing royalties, but most of the use of Last Christmas these days is covers and
That's what I thought. But in Britain, it keeps charting again. Like,
oh, really?
Yeah. So I imagine like there,
I
you
mean,
still.
honestly, if someone says, name the first song that comes to your head when I say Wham, I'd say Last Christmas.
Wow.
And it's honestly just because it's so ubiquitous in the Christmas music and Christmas movie scene, that it's not even necessarily their performance of it, it's just that song.
I don't hate that song, but
I kind of hate that song.
well, I'm living in the tropics right now, so I don't hear it. They have their own Christmas songs down here.
I'm sure.
I've never heard of. Well, they do have that Mary's Boy Child, Jesus Christ by Boney M. Yeah, they like their Boney M.
Boney M.
Oh, yes. Yeah, so again, right place, right time, right video. If Wham would have tried to put that out 2 years earlier, I don't think it would have worked.
I don't think so. I think it could have done well a year to 2 years later. Like it would have done well through the mid 80s.
Yeah.
And then getting into the late 80s, I don't think it would have worked. So I think, yeah, time, place, and it's just a catchy, happy song that's reasonably well put together for the bubblegum pop that it is.
It is. You're 100% right. I just hate it. Once you hear it, it takes you forever to get rid of it in your head. But I am a fan of not the song, but of the group, of Andrea, of course. I love you, buddy. And George, man, I feel bad he passed away. I don't know if he really got the happiness he was sort of looking for until the end.
Yeah, he kind of had a bit of a tragic end. I mean, not in any sort of success or monetary way, but I mean, in his last decade, he was arrested multiple times for public indecency. He got entrapped by a cop for
well, that's how he finally got out.
Yeah. He was arrested again for indecency. And then multiple minor drug charges. And then he died of heart issues, which probably had something to do with the drug issues.
Most likely. Isn't that amazing though? Like you're George Michael, and like, you know what? I think I need to go find sex in a bathroom stall.
It's thrill seeking. It's not.
You're right.
I mean, he had a long-term boyfriend that he lived with at that point.
Oh, at that time?
Yeah.
Okay.
Not the one he was with when he passed away, but yeah, he actually made a statement at one point about, yes, his partner knows that he solicits, sex with strangers, basically. But
yeah, whatever gets you off.
Well, you know what? When you're that successful and that young, you think that they were, 19 when they started with their first success? By the time Wham parted ways, he was like 24. Like he'd made millions and had multiple number one hits in the first 25 years of his life.
He ran the 80s.
Yeah. And so I guess that at some point you stop losing pleasure in all that amount of success and stardom and start seeking whatever thrills you can elsewhere.
Okay. So last question. Favorite George Michael song, solo?
I don't know.
Well, while you're thinking of that, I'll give you mine.
Okay, what's yours?
It's actually later from his post captured or entrapped Fast Love, which is if I remember correctly, I could be wrong, but he even made fun of himself in the video where he's dressed up as a cop. Like,
and that was apparently based on his arrest.
yes, right, yeah.
From the cop, and he that's why he got sued by the cop. But the case was.
Oh, did he? I didn't even know that.
Yeah, he got sued. The case was thrown out, and then they retried it, and apparently it was determined that he couldn't actually, like the cop couldn't file for emotional damage or something because he's a public servant.
He didn't actually name the cop. He just dressed up like a cop.
Yeah, though he did name, like the name of the cop is well known.
Oh, is it? Okay, I didn't. Well, I guess if I was in Britain, I'd know that. Huh. All right, so that's my favorite.
I don't really know. Like, I really like but that's Elton John, not.
If that's your favorite, it's your favorite.
Like Don't Let the Sun Go Down on Me, but don't think that's. I think he just did the duet with him. I don't think it's his song. I don't know. Faith?
It's a great one.
Yeah, I'm going with that.
Yeah. I guess it would be nice if I could touch your body. All right, I better stop.
Not everybody. Yeah.
Yep.
So, you want to know what we're doing next week?
Hit me.
It is a true one-hit wonder.
Okay.
Don't worry. Be happy. Don't worry. Be happy now.
Now worried, need money. Yes. Bobby McFerrin. Okay. Yeah, very unlikely number one. Okay, this will be good.
I think this really deserves a spot here. I'm trying to figure out how it went to number one.
It's a fluke, but yeah, let's do it. All right. Stay safe, everyone. If you haven't sort of listened to a bunch of other shows we've got on halloffame.com, if you're not tired of listening to me, well, you probably are, but hey, humor me anyway. This crap was on national television is going to have a new episode. We just looked at Kiss Meets the Phantom of the Park. Yes, a television movie with Kiss. A movie so bad that Gene Simmons wouldn't let anyone talk about that in his presence for decades. Also, sports fans, classic sports review. We're going to be looking at the Toronto Blue Jays. Yay, go Jays. When they won the World Series and the greatest walk-off home run, if you're not Bill Mazeroski of the Pittsburgh Pirates, I know, but that's okay. That's coming soon. All on notinhalloffame.com. Like the way I ended that there, Andrea?
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm getting better at it.
Get up there with the .com.
Nice. Stay safe, everyone.
Bye.